Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is scope of work. As a real estate investor, one of the most crucial tools at your disposal is a well-defined scope of work. A scope of work is a detailed document that outlines the specific tasks, materials, and timelines involved in a real estate project. I have also been known to pull pictures from Houzz or Pinterest if I want something to look a specific way. Here are 5 reasons why using a scope of work is essential. Number 1, clear communication. A scope of work acts as a clear communication tool between you, contractors, and other team members involved in the project. It ensures that everyone understands the project's requirements, goals, and expectations. By having a written agreement, you minimize misunderstandings and increase the chances of a successful outcome. Number 2, cost management. A scope of work helps you manage costs effectively. By clearly defining the tasks and materials needed, you can obtain accurate cost estimates from contractors and suppliers. This enables you to create a realistic budget and avoid unexpected expenses, because those never happen. Number 3, time efficiency. With a detailed scope of work, you can establish clear timelines and milestones for your project. This allows you to stay organized, monitor progress, and ensure that work is completed within the desired timeframe. By avoiding delays and staying on schedule, you minimize holding costs and maximize your return on investment. Number 4, quality control. By specifying the desired quality standards in your scope of work, you ensure that the work meets your expectations. Contractors can refer to the document to understand the level of craftsmanship and materials required. This helps maintain consistency and ensures that your investment property meets or exceeds market standards. Number 5, risk mitigation. Real estate projects involve inherent risks, such as unforeseen issues or change orders. By including contingencies and clear guidelines in your scope of work, you mitigate potential risks. It provides a framework for resolving disputes, addressing changes, and managing unexpected challenges that may arise during the project. So remember, a comprehensive scope of work is an invaluable tool that supports your real estate investment endeavors. Take the time to create a detailed document that encompasses all relevant aspects of your project. By doing so, you'll enhance communication, minimize costs and delays, maintain quality standards, and effectively manage risks. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Tom Zeeb. Back in 2001, Tom was broke as a joke. A near-death experience while whitewater rafting pushed him to find a new way to break free of his 9-to-5 job. His first deal almost took him under as well, but real estate investing saved him in the end, both personally and financially. Hundreds of deals later, he is happy to share the same negotiation, marketing, and business techniques that set him free so you can do the same. Tom works with real estate investors of all levels to get their business built or rebuilt correctly so that their personal goals and lifestyle stays at the center of everything they do, giving them more money, more time, and more freedom to spend as they please. I'm looking forward to hearing all about this, so welcome to the show, Tom Zeeb.
Hey, Jen.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Whitewater rafting. We've got to start with this story because
Yeah.
I read a little bit of it and I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear about this story. And I wanted to ask you before we started, before we hit record, but let's dive into that. First of all, what was your 9 to 5 job?
It was a cross between political consulting and IT. So kind of making software for lobbyists or government affairs divisions of corporations.
Oh, that sounds exciting. So,
A little bit.
and I read you were in India when you did whitewater rafting. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was fairly miserable in that job after a while. I didn't like working for anyone else. I mean, it wasn't, maybe the job wasn't bad. It was me. I'm sure it was just me. But I had to get out, and I was so far drowning in debt and everything else that I didn't know what to do. So I just said, oh, screw it. Let's go on vacation for a couple of weeks. Yeah, that'll be great. So a bunch of buddies and I went to India, and we were whitewater rafting in the Ganges River in northern India.
Oh my goodness.
Magnificent. I felt like Indiana Jones, and I was all excited, and the sights and the sounds and the action, the activity was great. And then we went through a really rough rapid, and I didn't manage to stay on the raft going through the rapid. So I traveled that rapid underwater.
Oh my goodness. You almost died in this situation?
I was running out of air. It wasn't like I had a great chance to catch my breath as I went over and under. My vision was starting to get a little narrow. I don't know if you've ever passed out before, but you start to get tunnel vision, and then you're down to kind of that one dot. I wasn't at one dot, but I was heading that way. Oh no, this is bad. I'm bumping into rocks, and I'm thinking, what if I get stuck or pinned down by the water? What if I face plant on a rock underwater? This ain't good.
Wow.
But instead of being ultra concerned about it, I started getting very angry, but not at the situation. I got angry at myself for kind of not taking things in life that seriously, for just spending out of control like a drunken sailor on shore leave. I had 113 grand in debt. I was only a few years out of college.
Ugh.
I mean, how was I ever going to get out of that? There was no way out. And so all this kind of I was angry about it. And if I get out of this, if I come to the surface, things are going to be different.
Wow. And?
Well, I made it out, obviously, but I got home and nothing was different. I was still drowning. I was drowning in debt. I was drowning with no more vacation time, no more money to do anything. And I was still miserable in the job.
Now, was real estate even on your radar back then?
No.
How'd you get involved in real estate?
A friend of mine handed me a copy of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
The Purple Bible, yes.
It is. I mean, it's amazing the number of people that have been totally, radically changed by that, and I'm one of them. I looked at it. Yeah, I went. I read it. It was fascinating. And I went, I think there's something here. I read it again the next night. It was like, stay up all night, read this book. And then I snapped. All the frustrations I had when I was drowning, I was now given a way out and an answer, because I couldn't figure out what to do before. But now the answer was clear. Just go buy real estate. The answer was clear, but not the how.
I love that. And I got to tell you a quick story. So when I got involved with real estate, people were like, oh, rich dad, poor dad, rich dad, poor dad. And I am a former middle school teacher. So I developed an allergy towards children. So I never had kids of my own. And I really thought Rich Dad, Poor Dad was a parenting book. I'm like, what the hell is anyone talking about? And then I read it and I could not put it down. So yes, huge difference. So you have since evolved into this total badass real estate investor. You got this great program. You have Traction Real Estate Mentors. And some of the things that you talk about, I want to focus on one especially, and it's negotiation. I just find it is such an art. And, there's the Chris Voss book, Never Split the Difference. I'm sure you read that.
I've not read it. There's a reason. It's no offense to Chris. It sounds great. And I love the title because it's saying not to do something that, you arguably should, but maybe not in his circumstance. I haven't read it yet, partially because I'm finishing up a book of my own and I don't want to be influenced by it.
Then that is excellent. And I you know what? I don't listen to many other podcasts, me being a podcaster myself, because of that exact reason. So, Tom, well said. I would agree with you. All right. So I want to hear some of these negotiation nuggets. So what do you got for me?
Well, let's see. Negotiation nuggets. I like to do a few. They layer together, so you got to kind of roll them out as you get a sense of the person that you're dealing with.
And who are you negotiating with, by the way?
Well, in my case, in my students' case, we're dealing with motivated sellers. People that want to get rid of property. Might be a single-family residential, might be a multi-unit commercial building, but they're motivated for some reason to get rid of it.
And a typical motivation would be maybe they're facing pre-foreclosure, or they have a sick family member they've got to move someplace else. So they've
inherited something from a deceased family member. They're heading into foreclosure. They know they're losing their job. They're moving into town. They're moving out of town. They're sick and tired of their tenants. Or they're darn near suicidal because they're tenants. There's a lot of things that divorce.
Right.
Sometimes the house falls apart, or there's a lot of different things that motivate people to need to sell the property more than they want to sell it. That's the key. The good negotiation actually starts in your marketing. If you market for the right kind of person, you're making your negotiation all that much easier because the people need to sell it. There's a push for them to need to sell it even more than they want to.
So people in that situation, I have found from experience that they're angry. They're, mainly pre-foreclosures. They're being forced out of their house, and they're getting, because that's a very popular list for real estate investors to purchase. And so they're getting all these postcards, urgent notice, call today to get rid of your debt, or, stop pre-foreclosure. And they're awful. So how do you specifically so this is actually your number one. I can't wait to dive into negotiation, but number one is marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing to find deals. So how do you market to people who are, in a tough situation, these motivated sellers?
I know that there's a lot of people that, particularly with the obvious things that motivate people, like pre-foreclosure. And so if they're getting hammered by everybody else with the exact same message, which is, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Right.
Then why don't you come across and be more of a give than a take? Everyone else is take, gimme, gimme, gimme. You come across as a bit of a give some information, give some advice, offer to help, see what you can do. And that'll get them talking. It'll certainly make you stand out from the crowd. And then you start to have a different conversation, all of which is the beginning of the negotiation. I can't stress that enough, that that kind of end of marketing, beginning of negotiation, it's an overlap in the circles.
So what do you market? Do you do mailers? Do you do calls, cold calling? How do you market to this specific type of seller?
Well, all of the above. I do specifically like mailings, postcards.
I love postcards.
Love them. Oh, I do. Whenever I can get away with a postcard, I'll get away with it. But some things are a little bit better as a letter.
Yes.
Maybe a probate scenario, they're inheriting the house. So I'll tend to do more probate. Driving for deals has been flat out one of my favorite lately. And long days on market, particularly with the hot markets we've had for the last few years. If something's actually sitting, they screwed up.
That's a good one too.
They want to sell, but they haven't sold. So you can get in there and work those. I've worked some great deals on long days on market.
I love that one. I don't think about doing that one very often because there's a lot more effort in pulling that list. So, all right, what is the message you have in most of these communications to find the deal? Number one, finding the deal.
Message I want to get this is an important thing that honestly everyone should write down. You want to get a message to market match. You've got to match the message that you're sending to somebody. What you say to them, that's a message. You got to match it to the market. The market's the who. We just talked about the who, right? We probably said 10 different types of scenarios. Those are the who. But now what you say to them has to match because they've got to see themselves in it. They've got to be nodding yes. Oh, yeah, that's me. You don't want them going, huh? Because then they're not going to respond. And Jen, I think the simplest way to explain message to market match is let's think about watching TV. Now, what do you watch on a Sunday on TV?
Football.
Great. What's advertised during football games?
Beer.
Okay. Because who's the
These
target
are easy
audience?
Questions.
Yeah, easy ones. I do the softball football questions. So great. It's beer because primarily the market is
alcoholics.
Well, right. I was going to say men. No offense to the girls, but it's primarily men drinking beer watching football, and they're girls that enjoy the same. Fine. Now, but if I change the channel and I go over to the Lifetime Network, not that I've ever watched it, okay, but I don't even know what's on those. I don't know what those shows are about. But what are their commercials?
Very feminine.
Yes.
Shopping, shoot. Yes, I get it.
Yes. Yeah, mothers and daughters with tennis rackets walking on the beach. I don't even know what they're talking about. So, yeah. Now, if we took those commercials and played them during the Sunday football games, what happens to sales?
Got it.
Yeah, nose
plummets.
Yeah. And if I take the beer commercials and I play those on the Lifetime Network, what happens to sales?
Plummet. Yes.
Plummets again. Because the message doesn't match the market. So that's the easiest way. I don't think anyone's ever going to forget message market match now. So, yeah.
Very well said. So do you bring up, say, for example, you're reaching out to probate. And for the listeners, probate are properties that are left to someone after someone has passed away. And they got to go through court and all this stuff, and it's kind of a pain for them. So you can really help out people, even though they're suffering from the loss of someone. It's a great way to really put on your superhero's cape and help out a family in need, because that could be a financial burden having to take over someone's payment. So for probate, and to match the message here, what is something that you would say?
Well, now that's when I do in a letter to begin with, because it's just
letters are good. Yep.
Gentler in a letter than splashed out on a postcard. I start off by saying, hey, look, very, very sorry to hear of your loss, because most of the time they're related to the person. Even if you don't know specifically, It's no harm in saying, hey, sorry to hear about the loss. And then I start to go into a personal story. And even if you don't have a personal story, it could be, hey, I remember when my friend's grandmother died and what a pain in the butt it was for the family to have to deal with it. Man, my friend was up late night and all this complicated paperwork with the city and the state and trying to figure this out, and the arguments amongst the siblings, et cetera, et cetera. And at that moment, I realized I really want to help people just like you with situations just like yours. I'd be honored. I'm sure you're getting a number of these messages,
right?
But I'd love to talk to you.
Okay. So I am a little opposite of that. I rather go super generic to someone who is in the probate situation and say, hey, thinking of selling your home at 123 Main Street, and just keep, so because I like what you do where you tell a story about something personal and you tie it into that. So I do like that aspect, but there's some people who are like, so sorry for your loss. Hey, you thinking about selling your house? Because I'll buy, And so there's a really fine line right there. So I do like that you include that story, because then you're building that rapport through a letter, which is great.
I'm also trying to be different, right? So I'm expecting most people to take the kind of dry, direct route, and mine's going to stand out as there's something different there. And the people that are going to respond to that, probably people I'm going to get along with really well anyway.
Very, very true. How about pre-foreclosures? How would you match the message there?
Interesting. The number one thing you're trying to do in a pre-foreclosure situation is get the person to wake up and take some action, and stop waiting for the magician to show up with the magic wand and make all the problems go away. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why most of them wind up calling a bankruptcy attorney the night before. Right. Because it's the only thing that stops it at that point. Because they keep, there's no sense of reality. So I try to kind of needle them and push them out of it. But I'm also conscious that a lot of times it's going to be 6, 9, 12 months before I hear from them again, once the property comes out of bankruptcy and now cannot go back into bankruptcy a second time, because they never really sort themselves out.
Oh, good point. All right. So
longer play.
What's that?
It's a longer play.
Yes. And I have found working with pre-foreclosure folks, again, that superhero's cape, you can come in and really help them out of a tough situation. And however you connect with them, whether it's through your marketing, if you're calling them, if you're just connecting with them, if they call you to set up an appointment, you go over and you start building rapport in person. I love doing that. So you've found the deals. Now, how do you negotiate to make the deal and make the sale? Or the purchase, I guess.
Well, first thing I want to do is get a sense of, do they have a price in mind? Where are they at? And so
do you do this on the phone or in person? Where do you do all this negotiation?
I try to do it on the phone first.
Okay.
I actively encourage my students as well. The first thing they tell you to do is go over there The last thing you want to do is go over there.
Really?
Let's make the numbers work on the phone first. And then when we go over, we can keep pushing the numbers downward in our direction, because you're going to see something that, isn't quite as perfect as they said it was.
Got it.
Like the giant hole in the ceiling, or the blue tarp on the roof, or the water leaking out of the kitchen ceiling.
The screwdriver in the faucet in the bathroom. That's one I just bought recently. I'm like, oh, damn it. Why didn't I pull that shower curtain back before I bought that house? Jeez.
Yes.
So you are talking to them over the phone. What are some negotiation tactics that you use to win them over?
My number one is anytime I ask them for a price, no matter what number they give me, I flinch. I act like I was attacked by the number. So Jen, how much are you asking for your property, Jen?
I would like probably $350.
Woo, $350. I flinch, and then I zip it. I close my mouth and leave it at that, and I let them.
Well, so-and-so across the street sold their house for $350. Okay.
Well, now good. Now you're justifying it. If $350 might work, but how did you feel about that $350 when I flinched?
I'm assuming you're the expert and made me feel very stupid.
So I guess your number wasn't right.
Okay.
So there's already downward pressure on your number. That's what I'm aiming for. But then if you come back and say, well, the house across the street sold for $350, and I say, well, what's the very least you're willing to take if I give you all cash? You're $350, $350, $350. Well, if there's no movement in your $350, you're not sounding all that flexible to me. So I might have a little more work to do, or I just got to put a reminder on my calendar to call you back in a month and see if time's changed anything. On the other hand, if I say, I'll ask you how much, you say $350, I flinch, and you go, I don't know, $325. Well, now we're starting to move. And then I push you a little bit more, and you're at $300. And then maybe I make you an offer down in the $240 range, and you go, no, that's too low. But I would do $280. And now there's some movement. Great.
I love that.
That's a nice drop from $350 to $280 from just talking to you on the phone and flinching.
So do you do better in person though? Because I prefer being in person. My problem is, Tom, I will start talking on the phone, and I'm either going to talk them out of the deal or I'm going to talk myself out of the deal. I'm one of the like diary of the mouth. So this is why I need your, negotiation ninja here to help me through this.
I do good in both, but admittedly, I always want to screen on the phone. I don't really want to get out there until I've seen some motivation. That number's got to move. Their story's got to be motivating enough. There's got to be some reason that I think it's worth getting stuck in traffic, going over there, spending the time, all the little small talk and chit chat, rat-a-tat-tat that you got to get going when you're there in person.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
So let me ask this question. What's the number one thing stopping people from getting more deals?
Oh, consistency.
Okay.
Hands down, because they're not doing enough. I ask people all the time, I'm not getting any deals. Nothing's happening. Like, well, so how much marketing have you done? Oh, I did some marketing. No. How much marketing have you? What is that? I sent
out 100 postcards and nothing happened.
100 postcards one time last year, and it didn't work. Oh, well, color me shocked. Well, what did you think was going to happen? How about the same 100 postcards to the same 100 people a second time, a third time, a fourth time? And then how about we get the number of people up? And then why don't we look at the message? I mean, there's so many, but the number one thing is the repetition. Another word for repetition would be multiplication. Like the number of times you multiply the effort on that. I swear that is the secret to marketing, is to get some consistency down, repetition, and multiply your effort. Boom, drip, 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 drip. You got to reach out to these people more than once.
And I love mailers. Mailers have always been consistent in my business. 25% of all of our deals in our lifetime working in real estate have come from mailers. But I remember probably 2018, let's say, I went 5 months without one damn phone call. Did I stop doing it though? No, because then the next month I had 10 people calling me because they were holding on to that postcard that was sitting in a drawer, and now they're ready to move. So I love that consistency. So
that's the toughest thing. Yep. Is because, look, I mean, you had blind faith. You're like, wait, it worked before, but it's not working now. But it'll work again. You got to have some blind faith that it is going to work if you keep at it consistently. Too many people quit when they're so close, but it's absolutely annoying. I get that exact same bizarre, it's a flood and then it's a drought, then it's a trickle, then it's a drought again with bandit signs. Like,
Right.
oh, they work. And then they don't. And they don't for a horribly long time. And it's nerve wracking to spend the money on it. And yet then it starts producing again. And I just learned to accept that I want to look at things overall, let's say in a year time frame, what's worked. I can't judge something just on the very first time I've tried it.
So beyond mailers, bandit signs, what other marketing tools do you use?
Well, pulling things out of the MLS, like long days on market, has
That's
been
good.
great. And driving for deals. And I use a specific software for that.
Is it Deal Machine? Did I see you?
Deal
I stalked your... Yes, Deal Machine?
You've been stalking me? Yeah.
I stalked your Facebook page just a little.
It is. Oh, we did a nice challenge with Deal Machine
It was
recently.
Was that the 7-day challenge? Tell me about that.
7-day challenge. 7-day challenge. I pushed my students and my followers to get out there, and I gave them a 7-day trial. And I negotiated with Deal Machine to give my people a whole bunch of extra marketing credits and skip tracing credits. So basically, they could spend a week working with us and not spend a penny. They were getting the software for free. They were getting all this bonus stuff for free. So use it and see what happens. We walked away, 3 students walked away with 5 deals.
Wow. I love that.
I do too. It's fantastic. You're getting out there, you're driving around. And I did the challenge with my son as well. We didn't get a deal out of it. Oh no. Should I never do it again? No, of course not. We're gonna, you keep up on it and you keep going.
I like Deal Machine. I did feel like a little bit of a stalker driving through neighborhoods and like, get off my lawn, lady. But it is a great way for people to find deals. And then that way, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, you can be very specific and focused on which houses you're going to be going after. So absolutely. Excellent. All right.
Stay on the public street, Jen. You're not walking on their yard. That might have been the issue.
I would be driving because I love the feature they have where you can take a picture of the house and then that can be on the postcard, which is so cool.
Now, do you think that postcard's getting thrown into the trash?
No,
right
it's
away?
not. And I got one of those one time for a property we had just purchased. And I was like, oh, this is genius. You're not buying it, but I just need to know how you did this. So I love that. That was very, very cool. All right. So finding deals. I also do a lot of, just networking. A lot of my deals and then wholesalers. Anything else you want to throw in there?
Those are my main. Mailings, driving for deals, MLS, and networking.
Yep. Very, very good. Yeah. And MLS is probably about 25% of ours as well. Yeah. Now's a good time on the MLS. I did.
Because they're not selling anymore.
Exactly. But the inventory is down, which is the crazy, So yeah, I'm getting ready to finish up a flip. I'm like, please be, hit it out of the park to start with it. So, all right, we talked about finding the deal. So how can solid negotiation... Let me read what you wrote in here. How can solid negotiating make a huge difference in your business right now? Well, you wrote this question, so I can't wait to hear this answer.
Did I write that one? Yeah, I know. You asked me for a couple of prompts. Look, it's beneficial to you in any business, but especially our business of real estate investing. If more people say yes to you, we're going to have more deals. And if each of those deals, of everyone that says yes to you, you work their price down and you make more profit on each and every deal. That's why it's important.
And how do you handle when someone yells F you at you? Because I get that. I used to teach middle school, but I really...
You're used to that.
I will never get used to it. I had many middle schoolers be like, F you. But I have very thin skin. And if somebody's yelling at me over the phone, I want to curl up in a ball on the floor. So how do you handle stuff like that? Do you have a negotiation tool?
Are you still breathing after it happens?
I am.
You're still alive?
A little.
Okay. Yeah, you don't feel great. Fine. But you can move on with life?
I can, yes.
Okay. Well, then I would say you need to become perversely addicted to being told off, to being hung up on, to being cussed at and sworn at. And because who cares? if you're one step closer to the one that works, Jen, it's a numbers game, right? It's a numbers game. If you call, I tell my students, I want you making 150 offers, and every phone call is an offer, whether or not it has a snowball's chance in you know where.
Right.
Just make the offers. You make 150 offers. Statistically, you're going to get 10 good ones, but those 10 good ones that turn into deals, awesome. But wait a minute, there were 150. There were 10 good ones. That means 140 times you got rejected. You got punched in the face. You got yelled at, cussed at. Someone said "F you" or that. Who cares? If that's what it took, you could punch me in the face 140 times if I turn around and make 100 grand. I mean, what's the dollar value of every no, of every hit?
That is a great way to think about it. So how do you handle the person on the phone? Like, because they want to argue. So do you just give up and say, "I'm so sorry, you're having a bad day," or like, how do you handle that?
So a lot of times, so assuming they haven't hung up,
okay,
right?
Yes.
If they hang up, great. They save me the time and the hassle. If they're still going, if they're not quite there yet, there'll be a point where I'm not going to argue with them anymore. I don't want to put up with it. I stop. I go, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't quite right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell this property right now to me? And no, what do you think they're going to say? 3, 5, 7? Call me back when you're a 9 or a 10.
Very good.
And then that's it. Like cold, clinical, you're done. You certainly maintain control. You kind of threw down the gauntlet and showed who's boss. And then that's it. And then you call them back a month, 6 weeks forward, maybe 2 months. That you can tell by how flexible they were or not.
Great advice on that. I love that. All right. So your 3 main keys for your traction real estate mentors is marketing to find deals, negotiating to make deals, and number 3 is legal contracts, systems, and control to get paid. So tell me about all this.
Yeah, the systems side of the business. Look, I mean, you're marketing to find it, you're negotiating to make it, you're making them say yes. Once they say yes, though, it ain't over yet. You got to put it under contract and successfully navigate it through to that settlement.
Because nothing ever falls out of contract.
Oh, heavens no. And everything closes on time. There's never any issues there.
And money shows up immediately.
I know. I hope the sarcasm is dripping enough.
So, and listeners, this is why having an education program is so important, is the systems it provides for you, the contracts, the guidance on how to get from point A to point B and make a profit. So what systems do you, and this is one of my questions at the end, but you bring up the whole systems and the contracts. So how do you teach this to your students?
Frameworks. I have a framework for everything and generally a worksheet to go with everything as well. So guys, this is the process. This is what you're going to go through. The frameworks will define the parameters of what's supposed to happen. But since life never follows a strict script and no 2 deals are ever exactly the same, you want to define out what the borders are, and now you can freestyle within that framework, freestyle within the borders, so you know how to handle things because you know what the outcome should be.
And then, what type of contracts do you share?
Oh, I share my 2 main contracts are my pro buyer contract, so that's pro me. Assuming I'm buying. Obviously, I have a pro seller version if I'm selling. It's always pro me, which is a good way to be. So I use my pro buyer contract, and then if I'm going to buy it and renovate it, fine. If I'm going to buy it and buy and hold it as a rental, fine. If I'm going to wholesale it, then I have an assignment contract that I use to be able to pass my initial pro buyer on to my ultimate end buyer.
Got it. And that is a huge negotiation right there, is creating a contract that fits for that seller. So what are some certain things that you go, like, do you always give them a deposit? Do you have a longer, do you do inspection period? What is a typical contract?
Well, I do an
typically?
Inspection period.
Oh yeah.
But there's no set time on it. It's
Ooh.
literally just wide open the entire, I can walk at any time. I have found, and some of my students said this is what finally unlocked them. When they realized they couldn't get stuck, well, why the heck not try? They're not going to get stuck. They might as well try. And so having that kind of open-ended eject button to get out if they needed to was really important.
Tom, that is great. And this is all like you went through an attorney and did all this and everything. And it's a legal document. It's a binding agreement.
I wrote all my contracts with two attorneys. I had two attorneys write them, right? I kind of, quarterbacked and said, this is what has to happen, but I'm not the one with the law degree. They are. So I had two attorneys write it, and we meshed everything together and then finalized it so that we have really good protection for us and control at the same time. We can definitely control the other party, but if we need to get out, we can eject out safely.
Well, you have given the audience a lot to think about here, which is probably why you are so great at what you do. But I have a very important question to wrap this up.
No, let's hear it.
How do you beat the fear of getting started? Because I have many listeners out there that are still in the grind of their 9 to 5. They did not go to India and get, pushed under the water and have that near-death experience to kick them in the ass to say, you need to change your life, and to be mad at, be mad at themselves. So how do you beat that fear to get started?
I need everyone to practice. It's not, I need you to kind of face it. Just go, come on. Like when I asked Jen earlier, gang, listen up. If are you still breathing? Someone swore at her. She's still breathing. She's fine. She's alive. You'll be fine too. So I'll tell you what, go make 10 calls. Just go to Craigslist and make 10 calls. That's easy. They want to be called. That's why they're,
right.
posting Craigslist. So call them and just start the process. You can trip over every single one of your words. You can make a total fool out of yourself. Who cares? Nobody cares. Don't worry about it. Who cares? And you will have 10 wildly different conversations. Most probably, you have a 99.9% chance none of them will become a deal. So don't worry about it. I purely want to do it for you. That way you go, I'm still alive. Somebody yelled at me. I'm still alive. They cussed me out. I'm still alive. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll do a second set of 10. And you'll be better, and you'll know what to look for, and you'll start following the process. And next thing you know, you'll start to not care about rejection.
That is fantastic. And P.S., my very first deal came from Craigslist. And I had a coach push me out of my comfort zone. And I was like, yeah, I've been talking to this guy from Craigslist. And he's like, why don't you have it under contract yet? And he's like, go call him right now. And as I'm walking away, he goes, and Jen, don't forget, everything's negotiable. So I literally, just like what you just said, I was flubbing over my words. I'm like, hey, I'm really interested in buying your property. Is that price negotiable? And he's like, sure. What price are you looking at? I'm like, I was not ready for that question. So I said my high school basketball number, which was 44. So I'm like, 44,000. And he's like, okay. And I was like, okay, I'll send you a contract. Thanks, bye. Just like.
Oh, interesting. And wait a minute. What was the first thought out of your mind when he agreed to your first $44,000 offer?
I was shocked in the beginning, honestly, because this is my very first one that I was negotiating literally in the street outside of a walkthrough of a property. And
did you feel like you might have left some money on the table? He would have gone lower?
Oh, I get what you're saying. So he was asking 56. This is, and so I just said 44. He's like, sure. And I'm like,
they're done.
Yeah.
But normally when someone jumps at a great negotiation lesson, right? When someone jumps at the first offer, the very first thought in the other person's mind is, oh, they would have gone higher or lower, or whichever direction you need them to go out. So yeah, 44. Yeah, he was asking more, so 44 was great, but he might have gone lower. We'll never know.
So how would I have fixed it at that point?
Go super low. I don't know. Go 22,579.
I remember this conversation so well because I was like, so is this price negotiable? I was like super confident in asking, and he's like, sure, what's your number? I was like, oh shit, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. So listeners, be prepared. But anyway.
Look, it worked. You did your deal. You made money.
We did it. We made some good money.
When you asked, where can negotiation plug in and what benefits going to do? Well, what if you could have made more money?
So true. Goodness. Tom, this has been fantastic. Where do people find you? And you have 2 giveaways for my listeners. So, and the first one I'm really excited about, which is where I was pulling those three tactics from. So tell us about these gifts that you're giving to the listeners.
Two gifts for you. One is on negotiation. It's training on my top 3 favorite negotiation techniques. guess I kind of let it slip one of them, but you'll learn how they all stack together. So it'd be good. Go to tomzeeb.com/trifecta. Trifecta.
I love that.
For that one. The second
and it's free. You're giving this information away. This is awesome.
Free.
Okay.
Free. And plug your email address in. If you don't want to hear from me, then unsubscribe. But watch the video training and learn. It'd be good.
Yes.
And the second one's on marketing. So it's different things I do. The 5 different processes I go through to make sure my marketing is tight and consistent, so that you can get your deals and improve your marketing. That's tomzeeb.com/
Deal Finder.
Deal Finder. Thank you.
Deal Flow. Excuse me.
Deal Flow. I flinched at myself for a second. So my mind's like a sieve lately. So grab those 2 things, and all that. TomZeeb.com is also where my podcast is. It's called The Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation, where we dig deep into different negotiation techniques. You hear a lot of different interviews with my students on negotiations they did to get successful deals, and how all that interplays together to make great deals and set people free.
Fantastic. And yes, I do have to give your podcast a listen, because I said, as a podcaster, I don't even like listening to, but I love some of these nuggets that you are saying here. And you put me on the spot about going even lower than my basketball number there. So I love it. Tom, this has been great. You heard me at the beginning give a badassery bestowment. So do you have a little piece of advice that you can share with the listeners?
In terms of negotiations?
Well, you said focus on repetition is what you wrote on here, which I like. Yes.
That's the main thing. Focus on repetition in your marketing, repetition in your follow-up, repetition in your negotiation. It's all a matter of repetition. But that repetition, that consistency is the number one thing that's missing from most people. Honestly, if you ask around, everyone that's struggling to get started is because they haven't done anything. So there's zero repetition. Those are struggling to stay in it. They've marketed one time, or they did one thing one time to one list. It's got to be more consistent than that. And so that repetition, that multiplication of effort, that's what's going to unlock the business for you. That's to me the best lesson you can get.
The multiplication of effort. I love that. So the second half of the podcast is what makes Tom Zeeb a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for books. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Robert Ringer's used to be called, he's originally called it To Be or Not to Be Intimidated. But no, first time he called it Winning Through Intimidation. Then he changed it. And when he rewrote it, I think it's called To Be or Not to Be Intimidated. Is a fantastic book for really getting your mindset right and understanding that it kind of compares it all to being a business jungle out there. That book radically shifted my mindset about what I was doing. Probably, I know I said Kiyosaki was the trigger that got things moving, but I think Robert Ringer really gave me a whole different view on what it took to survive and thrive.
And deal with all those no's and FUs.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't want to do any more cold calling.
Yeah, that's kind of the undertone of what his book is about.
That is awesome. And you are working on a book. Let's give a quick shout out to the book that you are working on. You have 3 books right now?
There's 3 in process. So one's published. It's called How to Correctly Flip Houses for a Profit.
Correctly.
Correctly. Oh, yes. Well, that made sure my attorney was happy with that one. I had to be correct. Because she hates me using the word flip. She doesn't like the word flip, but she likes the word correctly. I said, all right, fine. Are we all happy now? Otherwise, nobody would know what I was talking about if I didn't put the word flip in there. So that book's out there. You can find it on Amazon and Kindle, and there's an audio version as well. And the second book is coming out soon on negotiations. Still ironing out the title, so I'm going to keep that title secret.
Got it.
You'll find it in negotiations. And then there's an overall kind of business philosophy book coming out later this year as well.
I've always wanted to write a book. It's on my radar, and like ChatGPT writes all my badassery bestowments now. And I'm like, maybe it'll write a book for me too. I think ChatGPT is a boy, so maybe he'll write I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Yes. It is a time saver. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't quit no matter what. You got it. So, I mean, that sounds almost blasé, right? Oh, don't quit no matter what. look, you got it, but everyone hears it, and yet who's actually
Right.
paying, like actually doing it? You're going to get smacked down. There's going to be rainy days. There's things that don't go right. And sometimes for a while, there's sometimes multiple times in a row. You can't sulk and sit around and say, oh, I'm a loser. This isn't working. Fix it and make it work. You know it works. You see other people do it. You see other people far less talented than you doing it. So, yeah, it's your turn to make it your turn.
I love that. And there is a saying, I'm totally going to butcher this, but like the life of being an entrepreneur is you have to live your life like most people won't for a few years so that you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. And that, I know, isn't that a good one? I did pretty good on it.
Look, there are a number of friends. I've been 20, some, I don't know, 22, 23 years in the business, something like that. At the beginning, a lot of people thought I was nuts.
Yep.
My friends were nuts, and now they're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
So they went from being unsure, like, why on earth would you do that? Why would you put up all that pain, to being a little jealous of the lifestyle. Oh, must be nice to go here. Oh, you're on vacation again. Oh, must be nice to do that. Must be nice. Well, yeah, it is actually. But you could have gone on the journey with me. I had a friend, dear friend of mine, tell me a couple months ago. He goes, I get it now. He goes, 20 years ago, I thought you were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, but I didn't understand why you were so frustrated with the job. I mean, why not just work like everybody else? He goes, but now I get it, because that's the life that he wants too. So now, I'm 20 years into it, and he's trying to sort it out for himself now.
Tom, so well said. I love that. So if you're out there listening to this podcast right now, keep going. Just keep pushing through. You got this. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Lifestyle, specifically with my family, wife, kids. It's nice to do what you want when you want.
And live wherever you want.
Kids, yeah, live wherever we want, move whenever we want, travel whenever we want. I don't mean that to sound like ridiculous braggadocio. I want to inspire people to say, look, it's extremely doable, but you got to have a drive to do it. So I want things to be different. I want them different for my kids. It's interesting. My older boy, a lot of kids, well, their kids are their dads are doctors, so they want to be doctors. Or their dads are architects, they want to be architects. Then it kind of, what exactly does your dad do? And they're like, well, he's got these real estate deals, and he happens, so he's a realtor? No. So he's a landlord? A little bit. It's so weird to explain, but now he totally gets it. He goes, yeah, I don't want to follow the crowd with everything else. I said, perfect. And my mission is accomplished. You don't want to be normal. That's great.
Who wants to be normal? Come on now. So
not me.
I love it. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
I am working on trying to restabilize some of the back end of my business. So I sold off, rehabbed and sold off a bunch of rentals, and then moved. And I'm looking to redeploy that into rentals again, but I'm not a giant lover of managing properties or tenants. And I recognize my weakness. So I'm trying to stabilize out that system so that it'll flow better for somebody who doesn't like doing that kind of thing like me.
Or hire someone who does like doing those things for you. Yes.
Yeah, that's the system I'm building. I have the system and the people or the team in place to do that. So it's actually caused me to look at everything I'm doing and putting more assistance into place.
It's so good to do that every once in a while, just to kind of step back and, because we as real estate investors, we do have times where we're like, oh, we're doing really well right now. Like, let's chill for a second here and let's kind of look at big picture. So excellent point. I am not in that position right now.
Will be.
I will be there, but it's very cyclical. This, so when I do have those times, that's a great thing to do. I love that. All right, the first S in badass is for systems, and I know you have some great systems in place. So what do you use to help you achieve success?
Yeah, I would argue very smartly, have always spent a lot of time breaking down what I do into systems. And I initially did that for me, That way, if I had a mind like a sieve or couldn't remember something or got confused, I could just follow it through. I also did that from a health scare years ago as well, where it was easier to be able to just follow my own system. And that's what I wound up teaching to my students. And so when you realize you can teach it, you really know it well. And then if there's any flaw in the system, somebody trips in it and then they need it fixed. So I built these really smooth systems now over the years, and I'm just happy with that by systematizing everything.
And the best form of learning is through teaching. So I'm sure it just grows your business even more and more and more. Tom, this has been so much fun. So to wrap this up, the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
Not answering to anyone else. It really does. That was a big issue. Do what I want to do when I want to do it, where I want to do it, with who I want to be doing it with.
I love that. And, people are like, Jen, you're so funny. When are you going to have an HGTV show? I'm like, hey, oh no, I don't want anyone telling me what to do. Exactly what just came out of your mouth. I work with Tariq El Musa, and he, I got to film today. I got to do this. I'm like, ugh. I got out of someone telling me what to do on purpose, and that just sounds cringeworthy for me. So,
zone. I get people tell me, "Oh, I want to do 100 deals a month." Man, that sounds like a job. I mean, that sounds like a lot. I don't want to have employees. I'll hire contractors, but I don't want employees. I don't want anyone on payroll.
Do you have an assistant?
I do. I've one main virtual assistant. A couple part-times, and then some tech teams that do other things, but all contractual, paid by the hour.
That's my first hire. I just want an assistant, but I'm the same as you. I don't want to scale and it turns into a job. Exactly.
Seems like misery. Managing people to me would be misery, and then it just seems like I'd rather. I'm a better leader than I am a manager. I recognize that. So I'd rather just lead teams that, hey, you can have other clients, but here's what I want you to do for me. And it's okay. Whenever you get it done, just get it done. But I don't want that daily, hi, boss, what do you want me to do today? Ugh. What do I have to do now? Oh, oh, man.
Well, no, Tom, this has been so much fun. I normally like to keep these to 40 minutes, but this was just so good. And I know your time is so valuable. So this has been very fun. One more time, what's the best way for people to find you if they want to reach out and learn more about your program?
Sure. Go to my website, tomzeeb.com, TOMZ as in zebra, EEB as in boy.com.
And make sure you check out his podcast, The Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiations. What is it? Negotiations?
Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation.
Perfect. Well, Tom, it has been awesome. Thank you so very much. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.